Hello, everybody. This is Scott Hudspeth with Agent Mastermind, and I am here with my dear friend Karen Briscoe, a superstar. This late, like we just had a 5-minute conversation. I could go 5 hours with Karen, and she has just been so much to Agent Mastermind, and I'm just so honored to have you back. We're going to be talking about your new book, which I'm going to share with you right now. We're going to be talking about. And I was asking her the whole why behind the book and what it's all about and all that fun stuff. And we just got into so many other topics. So just real quick. So Karen, and she's too humble to probably say this herself, but she's currently, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've closed over 60 million as of today. And we're in the not quite to the middle of July.
Yes, in the first half of 2019, 60 million plus on the books, and it's been a banner year. And I look at the market, and the market has been not doing that. So we must be doing something right. It's all good.
Yeah. So Karen comes to us with like many things. So you have 3 best-selling books on Amazon. You have an amazing podcast that I love listening to. In fact, you had me on your podcast,
yes,
which was a ton of fun. So thank you very much as a guest. And who knows what else you do, but you're doing whatever you're doing it right. And I'm just honored to call you a friend and have you on class today to share what's going on in your world. I want to start off, Karen. One is tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the business, kind of the basics, and then I got a couple questions about the new book, and then we can kind of go from there.
So I entered residential real estate in 2002. I had done commercial prior to that, and started out as a buyer's agent, like a lot of people do. I was mostly a mom and home for a number of years, although I'd done commercial real estate before that, and became successful pretty quickly. And one of the top agents in our market area asked me to become her partner. And in 2008, she passed away. I took over the business. Well, y'all all know what happened in 2008, 2009. The financial markets crashed. So we set about rebuilding it. Took on a business partner, Lizzie Conroy, has been my partner for a decade. And we have a team of agents in the Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. metro region. And as often happens when people achieve and reach a certain level of success, and particularly when they recover from crashing markets and that kind of thing, people want to know, well, how'd you do it? And so that's what led to writing the books and the podcast.
Excellent. So the book that you have is very, very new, hot off the press. It's still warm, actually. It's called Flip Time, Love Life. What inspired you to, 1, write the book, and then 2, tell us a little bit about what it's about, and then how'd you come up with the name?
So the book actually came out of a TEDx open mic talk that I did in late 2018, which then led to another talk at, I don't know if you're familiar with Hal Elrod and the Miracle Morning Community, that I gave in December of 2018. And so many people are like, oh my gosh, this should be a book. And what it's about is that so many people say they don't have enough time to do what they want to do. In fact, 61% of Americans say they don't have enough time to do what they want to do. And time poverty is this epidemic. And yet we all have the same amount of time, right? And actually, time is a created thing. Lazu said 2,500 years ago, to say I don't have enough time is like saying I don't want to. So us saying that this is a modern problem, it's not really a modern problem, it's an age-old problem. And so this idea of time, I really started studying about the people who, well, first of all, many people wait to focus on meaningful work or self-actualization. I'm sure you remember from your psychology days, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that pyramid.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to work your way up the pyramid, right? And so what happens is people often achieve a certain level of success, and they start to look around and go, okay, now what? And the idea of flipping time is to, instead of time blocking and time management and work-life balance, the idea to flip time is to put the self-actualization first. And then once you do that, how do you make it work? Because many people are like, okay, but I still have the same amount of time. So that's where the whole idea of flip time. And then when you flip time, you love the life you have as you create and co-create the life of your dreams. So instead of, again, waiting, because many people, they have this, okay, well, when this happens, when my business gets to a certain level, or when the kids leave home or they get out of college, or they have all these, when this happens, I'm going to then live the life I want to live. I just
Yeah.
live it now.
Yeah. So like, I love this topic because it's so, I don't know, it just never goes, it'll never go away. Because
No, it won't.
you said, never go away. So we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And somehow, like, some people do so much. Like, for yourself, like, let's talk about you. So you have a podcast that I think comes out every single week. You have a new podcast.
2 times a week.
2 times a week. You run 120, like, you're on pace to close 120 million as a branch, in a real estate office. I mean, you obviously eat sometime. You obviously
Exercise,
do other things. You stay
married,
healthy. You exercise. You have married.
travel.
You have a family. Travel. So, what was the secret sauce, if you will, in your eyes, that how you've been able, like, what's the secret sauce for you to be able to do so much where it looks like you're doing so much when in reality, I know that you have a team of people doing it.
I do.
And 2, what keeps people from crossing that bridge?
Well, for me, what I found is the person who was stopping me was me. And you and I have had this conversation before, because I think that a lot of agents and successful people are like, okay, well, they're waiting for somebody else to do something. Like, if you're waiting for the market to change, I haven't been able to change the market yet, right? If you're waiting for
Yeah. I think only Warren Buffett can do that. I think only Warren Buffett can do that. Yeah.
Or they're waiting for something to happen. And so the idea is to commit and decide yourself on what it is that you want, and then to put that first, because that is really one of the key success principles. And I'm a big firm believer of the Miracle Morning and the Miracle Morning practice, but the idea as well of putting those things first. And I'm sure you've heard the story of the big rocks, and then you put in the little rocks, and you put in the sand, and then you put in the water. And so many people let the trivia of their life and business and whatever go in first, and then they try to find a place for the big rocks. The big rocks have to go in first, and health is a big rock, relationships is a big rock, meaningful work or doing something meaningful is a big rock. So then when people say they don't have enough time, there's a couple of thoughts on that, and that's where actually the 5-minute success came in, Scott, was because the idea of personal and business development, and people saying they didn't have enough time for that. And so I was like, well, do you have 5 minutes a day? Everybody has 5 minutes a day. What I found is that people start to experience the benefit, and then they want to do more. And the people around them start to experience the benefit too, because if you think about it, if you're doing what's meaningful for you and you're putting that first, you're going to live a life of more integrity, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I think that people who are doing for everybody else or doing the things they feel like they should do first, they're not living in integrity to what is important to them. And that starts to show up eventually in your productivity. So I actually find that I'm more productive because I am putting those things first that are
the stuff you love.
Yes. And then it's amazing. Everything else figures out a way.
Everything
really
falls
does,
into place.
Scott.
Falls into place. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So one of the challenges I with my one-on-one clients that I have, or actually not just them, but anybody that I talk to that has a business and they want growth, they see growth or more business, more listings, more buyers as more headaches. Like, I can't handle all this stuff. So their subconscious says, hey, dummy, like, more business means more stress. You might cause problems at home. You might, like, you're not going to see your kids as much because if you do more business, you don't have time, right? Going back to time. What do you do to help your students, clients, business to remove that thought from your head and go, more business doesn't mean more time. It just means more focused, my 1%. Like, what have you done to get past that mindset?
Well, that is really a lack perspective, and it's focusing on what you don't want. So both of those things right there. So let's just, take that off the screen and put on the screen, focusing on what you do want. and focusing on ways to create leverage and scale in your life. Because at the end of the day, that's how people who are highly productive are. They leverage. Now, and the other aspect of that is, and I've seen the benefits of this, is that a very committed, strong lead generation will solve a lot of things. And one of the things that it improves on is that you will have a higher quality of client. And we actually even just did with our team yesterday, we went back and went through every one of our deals, and we talked about the client and where it came from, where the lead came from. And so many of our clients come from from referrals, past clients, really strongly connected. And that's such a high quality client, because I don't know if you know Jeff Hoffman, but he started Priceline. And one of his principles that he came up with was, I want to go and work with the people who, when I get to the second slide of my presentation, says, we've already bought you, where do we sign?
Interesting.
And I would say that's true. I mean, those are the people who I really want to work with, and they actually take less time. I mean, not only are they faster and easier and more fun to work with, they take less time. And so we continue to focus on what we do want. If in the event that there's an abundance of business, well, yay. But then you have options, right, Scott? I mean, you can refer it out. You can cherry pick. You can, build a team. You can get staffing help. You can leverage systems. You can get a buyer's agent, or you can get a showing assistant, or you have so many more options. And so when you look at it from an abundance perspective, it actually is easier. It's easier to sell more than it is less, because when it's less, you're actually then working probably with every lead that comes in, because you feel like if you don't, you won't have any business
lose it.
Pipelines.
Yeah.
And so it's that shift. It really has to be a shift. It's a shift of perspective. It's kind of like the whole thing when I talk about flipping it. It really has to be flipped, because if you're gonna grow and have more opportunity, you have to look for ways to create abundance, and rather than looking at the ways that it doesn't work.
Interesting. So when it comes to that flip, when it comes to flipping, a lot of people have a challenge with the thought process is, what is it going to cost me, right, to hire this person or to hire this help, and I just actually flip it and go, what is it costing me not to have this person, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me about Talk to me about going from what did you close last year? What was your production last year, in 2018?
Well, see, that's a crazy thing. Last year, the whole year, we closed 66 million. So we basically doubled, if you think about it. We did twice.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah, the first half of the year. And that's where it seems counterintuitive, and you have to do a little bit of faith and trust on this. But what happens when you start putting first the important things that are important to you, which is probably your health, your relationships, and had time for doing meaningful work, then everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. It's like the one thing, right? And really, along with that, anybody who's in sales or entrepreneurship, lead generation has to be high up there. And I see what happens is so many people get busy, and then they take their foot off that accelerator, and then they don't have this steady flow, when in fact they're the ones that pulled their foot off
the brake.
Because they become afraid
foot off the gas
of what you're talking about. They're afraid of having too much, and they don't know how to handle it. And those are different skill sets. I'm managing, and it is a skill set, and I can understand how they might feel stressed by it. At the same time, it's going to free you up to do so much more. So it has to be a mindset shift.
So I'm glad that you said what you did about last year, 66 million. Now you're already at over 60 million midway through the year. What changed? Let me just ask a quick question. How many people on this call put a 1 in the box that if you have the right tools, systems, strategies, and mindset, that you could double your business from right now in the next 12 months? Like what you're saying, Karen, is you just literally doubled your business. Like it almost happened overnight, because you ended at 66. Now you're whatever you did has caused you to double it to year to date for this year. How many people on this believe they could do that with the right, just put a 1 in the box, 1 for accountability, tools, system, strategies, and a team in place. Just put a 1 in the box if you feel that you could double your business. Because I think it comes down to believing you could actually do that, right, Karen? You have to believe it. And there's a ton of ones. Good. All right. Thanks for the input. So what was, Karen, what's the one thing that if you had to give people advice on this call, the one thing that if you do this one thing that they could have the same success as what you've had in such a short amount of time?
Well, I would say the one thing is to flip the time. So put that time first. Because again, I see what happens with so many successful people is that ends up going last. And what happens is your energy. So really it's energy that is what generates business and opportunity, right? And that's what creates high performance and success and prosperity. It really is energy. It's not time. Because if it was time, you could trade time, right, for it. And you can't trade time for it. Okay, right. So that's just the first paradigm shift. And so I would say the first thing that I did, and that's why it's kind of amazing this all happened. I did this talk, and I had this shift in time perspective. I want to share another thing about time, because it's a non-renewable resource, but it's a perspective. So if you were to, this is actually an Einstein quote, but if you were to put your hand on a hot stove, or you're sitting in traffic, or you're in a boring meeting, 1 minute it's going to feel like it just goes forever, right? But if you were with someone you love, or you're doing something you're passionate about it, 1 hour flies by, right? So that's why time is perspective. Okay, so I want people to think about their time and what is it you can do and you do that lights you up, that is meaningful for you. Because what'll happen is you will have more energy when you do that and you put that first. And then everything else it's kind of like the pebble that's thrown into the pond, and you get the ripple effect. The people around you are going to benefit from it, because you're going to be happier and have more energy and in a better place. Your clients will reflect that, because that level of confidence is going to be apparent. And the other thing I see in the lack mentality is just this whole almost desperation kind of it comes out in people's behavior.
Which is rough.
Yes. Which is so this whole shift, it's a shift. And so that's the first thing. And then once you have that, then putting into place commit to consistent lead generation of your ideal avatar client. And we talk about it all the time. We talk about our ideal client, and we focus on that. And what you focus on expands. So we focus on those clients. And sometimes it means letting go. We release them to the universe, the people that are difficult. Because they're time suckers and they're energy drainers. They're energy vampires, Scott. So release them to the unice and wish them well on their way. and
hope they never come back.
Well, sometimes they come back because they realize you really were good at what you did, and so let them go, because I see that as being a huge energy drain in salespeople. They take on everything thinking that if they don't, there won't be enough business. And so it really is a mental game first, Scott. I mean, it really is. I mean, because if it really was otherwise, then anybody could do it.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what's the
Yeah.
difference between the people who do and the people who don't?
Yeah. They take, well, you know, it's funny. I'm at an event right now in Mackinac Island, and one of the things that one of the speakers was talking about is you don't win with emotion, you win with execution. And so there's a lot of thoughts that go through your head and stuff like that. So the one thing I was going to ask you, you brought up lead gen a lot, you know, and you say lead gen is the number one thing, and you have to have good lead gen, but you also focus on who your ideal client is. So was it the lead gen part that you guys said, all right, to go from 66 to 126 or whatever it is you're going to do this year, which who knows where it's going to end up, because you could literally you could double
We could double
what
the
you
year,
just
yeah.
did in the next 6 months. If you like laser focus, when it comes to lead gen, talk to us about the different sources of what you found was working for you so elegantly and so successfully.
So I did not double my lead gen.
You could not double your lead gen.
I know I did not double my lead gen.
Oh, you did not. You didn't.
I did
Okay.
not.
You
And
did
I did
not.
not
Okay.
double
All right.
advertising, and we don't pay for leads.
Okay.
So none of that
Okay.
changed. So what
Okay.
changed?
You don't pay for leads. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't pay for leads.
All right.
So what changed was the focus. And the focus was on the ideal client. And when I would be thinking about past clients or going back through I have a pretty extensive list that I've kept in 17 years of business. And I would think about people and I go, yeah, I would want more business from that person. Yeah, I enjoyed working with them. They were professional and they treated us as the professionals that we are. And so I would go into that contact and I would go into it going, I'd want more of that. If someone's name would come along and I'd go, yeah, I didn't go so well. They didn't were challenging. They, really beat me down on my commission. They were fighting on everything. I was like,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't want any more of that. I'm good. I don't need that right now in my life. And I didn't take them off the list, but I just was like, I wanted to focus on what I wanted more of. And I wanted more of clients that respect the fact that I'm a professional with 17 years of experience, and that they respect the fact that I am a professional and I earn a commission or fee for what I do, and that is for services rendered, and that they're willing to pay for that, and they understand they're paying for that. Now I have the benefit that I'm in a high dollar average market area. However, that can be a challenge because sometimes people that
uber competitive.
Yeah, it's very competitive. Yeah. Uber competitive. Yes, that's a better description. It's uber competitive, and they are very savvy. Sometimes it's easier to deal with the first-time home buyer because they don't know what they don't know, so they're more likely to listen to a professional. Not always. There's a lot of them that think they can read it off the internet, but so every person before I would contact them, I would think about that. And I think it really is the law of attraction. Now, I'm not saying all those people I contacted became business. Sure. I look at law of attraction in this way. By me sending out that energy to the universe, I'm saying, universe, I'm ready for clientele that respects my professionalism. I'm going to work hard. We work very hard. In fact, many people say, oh my gosh, you work so hard. You've given us so much. We appreciate what you've done. Most people say that. They don't usually look at it the other way. They don't look like you just skated right through and made $20,000. But I was sending out that message that's what I would attract. And then people would call me and I'd go, okay, here's an example. My insurance agent for 25 years, and we have investment properties. We have all of our insurance with her. I talk to her all the time. I can't believe I never had a real estate conversation with her. She hasn't been on my list. And when she contacted me, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't been having real estate conversations with you. And that led to me going back and looking at all the people I do business with in a new way. My hairdresser, the people that, um, the local coffee shop, and those kind of things. And I was like, I started looking at all that
Places
differently.
you frequent, places you talk to all the time. Yeah,
Yes, I was like, I should, because they may not know that I want to work with them, right? So
absolutely.
I just changed that, and I've always
So
been
give us
very,
an example. Give us an example of the insurance agent, because I think we all fall prey to not asking. I mean, more or less what you're saying is I just let people know who I was and that, hey, I'm open to business if you ever need my assistance, right? I mean, it was a soft, here's who I am, here's what I do, would love to do a deal with you someday, I'd love to work with you someday, or who do you know that could use my services?
I know, can you believe
What was that?
missed opportunities?
Like
um,
it's literally one word away, right? Well, like one sentence, one paragraph away. What was that conversation like when you had her on the phone? Like what? Because I think we all have had, like, right now, could pick up the phone and call all these people that we have relationships with that we just don't ever ask, right?
well, the
And is
fortunate
that
thing
what
is
has helped you double?
she called me.
Okay,
She called me. And that was my aha. My aha was, oh my gosh, I should have been calling you. This is my
right, right,
job to
right, right,
call
right,
you.
right,
So that was
right.
my aha. So it opened up me to think about the other
Who else?
people, that who
Yeah,
else may live in my community and that I could be um, in contact with about real estate. And I think that is going to turn into more, because we had conversations about investment properties, and she knows that we invest in real estate. We just bought our fifth property, and we went to
good for you.
contact her about putting insurance on the property. And I said, we can do this for other people. And she said, yeah, I realize that now. I should have thought about that before. So she had this kind of same aha.
Haha
Um,
moment. Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
was an aha moment. So that expanded in terms of my perspective. And but I just want to share that it was really me that changed the focus
Mindset, focus,
and the
mindset.
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
So,
it was
so
a
you,
real
do you
flip.
think it was? You think it was like out of fear? I don't want to come across, because I hear this all the time, Karen, and I know you hear this too. I don't want to come. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to come across as a salesperson because the stigma that is out there, like, used car salesman, real estate agent, mortgage professional. We're all kind of thrown into a big category that isn't necessarily the best, right? So is it the thought that goes on from the stigma that we have that, oh man, I don't want to really go talk about it because I don't want to sound salesy, or is it just flat out, I didn't even think about it? Like, because like obviously once you made that shift, whatever that shift, with that mental shift, thought, conversation, scripting, it's drastically changed your life in a very short amount of time. Maybe
Isn't
it's
it
all of it.
interesting that we go,
It's
our
crazy.
brains go down that track,
It's
that
so
we think
crazy.
people are going to think that we are being salesy, or that we are
I know.
where the in fact, we're offering a service, we're giving them something of value, we're helping them with one of
I
their
know. Memory.
major purchases. If they want to, they could be thinking about investing in real estate and they don't know who to
Yeah.
talk to about it. And so, I when somebody calls me like that, I look at it like, oh my gosh, I haven't been doing my job. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
I feel very convicted about it, because I do feel like, if you look at it the other way, okay, she's my insurance agent. Her job is to reach out to me and help me with my insurance needs, right? And I don't ever
Yeah.
think of
Yeah.
that as being salesy, do I? I
Yep.
don't. I don't
Nope.
know if you do.
Right.
Your real
Nope.
estate,
I don't.
your insurance agent goes, okay, it's time to evaluate the insurance that you have on your properties and whether we have the right coverage, and if there's been any changes in your family, anything that we need to be aware of. Or your CPA goes through that with you, on an annual basis. Or, your financial advisor goes through that on an annual
Yeah.
basis, minimum, right? So,
Yeah.
what is it about when we have that thought process that we think that we're being a burden. And so I do think it's the way we approach it. So one thing that I do is I find out what's going on in their own neighborhood. This is one of my favorite scripts, if you want to call it a script. I'll look at, particularly if they live in a neighborhood that I'm familiar with, and I'll look and see what's on the market in their neighborhood, or I'll try and go see that house. Actually, this is a great script if you're looking for something. And if there's a home in their neighborhood, it actually gave me an opportunity with my insurance agent. I sold a house in her neighborhood. So it gave me an opportunity to reach out to that past client and say, we got a home coming on the market in your neighborhood. Who do you know wants to live in your neighborhood? So we got to have a real estate conversation without being, again, salesy.
Yeah.
Or who else do you know who might be right now thinking about buying or selling that I could help? So I think that when you have a purpose to call people, then I think that there's less. But if they're past clients, they frequently want to know what's going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how's the value, what do you see the trends? Where are we going? And that's an opportunity to reach out and help. So we're doing a lot of that with past clients and with people that we know, just making them aware of what's going on in their community, in their neighborhood. And that's offering a service, and it doesn't come across as salesy that way.
And it's free. And it's 100% free.
Yeah, I don't have to pay for that.
Pay for anything. So Amy has a great question. Amy Gibbons, thanks for being here today. So she says, I'd rather sustain my business, not double, rather free up half of my time, essentially work less and make the same money.
You could do that too.
I love that. So what advice would you give her? I mean, I have ideas for that, but what advice would you give her for that?
Well, it would be the same thing, because the same thing I did, I actually freed up more time. But the thing is that as you build systems and scale and create leverage, that's where you're going to get time back. So you're going to free up more time by those methods than anything else. And those are, tried and true systems. It could be technology systems. It could be, we actually hired a virtual assistant this year for the first time to take a lot of the routine tasks out of my office staff, so that their time can be freed up for doing higher level tasks. And that, of course, has this great domino effect. But if you're not in that position where you're ready to hire people, there's still ways to leverage, transaction coordinators. You could hire on and that's a great strategy, because then you don't have to have the ongoing expense of staffing. But also the mind shift of raising the quality of your lead and your clientele, it's going to free up time too, right? Because just think about your last difficult client.
Right.
Right. And what an energy drain that was, and how much time it took, and what a time suck it was. So if you could just take that client out of the mix and put in two great clients,
you reduce the time
you would
work
reduce
with
time.
two instead of one. Here's another thing that she said too. It's kind of funny, and I appreciate the honesty here, is the better my systems, the more business grows. It's a double-edged sword. I haven't found a solution. Workaholic problems. So she loves the success.
Those are first world problems here, Amy.
I love it. So like, man, what I would say is, like, the cool part about it, like, and before you said that, Amy, I was going to say, well, if you actually remove yourself from some of the equation, your business will grow. That's just because you're doing more of the stuff that actually allows you to get business, convert business, better follow-up systems, asking for the business to the right people. That's the cool part about removing yourself. But then you just have to be open to more growth, but open to putting more people in place, like your virtual assistant, really, defining who that list is, of what you should be doing and the people you should be working with. So very interesting.
And there's always referring out business that is like a lower tier business, like rentals, or, the ones that it would take a lot of time. You could still refer that out and get a referral fee. Look to partnering with somebody else is at a similar place, and
there you go.
to leverage time more than they want to build the business. If there's lots of opportunity, people are attracted to that. And so you've got
Great
a
point.
great
I love that
attraction.
one. Yeah, because the hardest part, I mean, like, and Karen, you disagree or agree, but it sounds like what, and as well as you, Karen, you're amazing. Like when you get with people, it's done. Amy, I'm guessing if I was to put her in a crowd of people, she would walk out. She would walk out with a deal, right? So anything past that is like not necessary or necessarily needs to be done by Amy. Someone else should be doing, like, she should be just be the connector. She's an attractor, of course. And so, like what you said, Karen, is fine. But you're like, what Karen does and what Amy does is so hard to do. Find somebody that's not good at that part, the connector, the attractor, getting the referrals, building the relationships, and find somebody that's not good but still needs a paycheck and put them in that position, because they're super uber good. Once the person comes in, they're just not good at getting the person in. Does that make sense? That's kind of what you just said, Karen.
And this is really classic. I mean, it's like CEO, COO, a chief
Yep.
operating officer. There's,
Yep.
skill sets that different people are stronger at. And I would say that has been, I would agree, it's who's going to make the trains run, right? So the person bringing in the business, though, that goose that lays the golden egg is always
That's
going to be more valuable and always going to be in demand. And so finding
absolutely.
people that make the trains run on time, that's actually an easier skill set to find.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, and it goes back to all the stuff you accomplish on a daily basis. I can't, like, your schedule's just got to be insane, but it's so laser focused. Like, Karen has found, if I do these 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, I know, like, I'll have massive growth. If I for some reason get pulled back into something that, one, I don't like, or it can be done by somebody else, I'm going to, because growth is hard, right? Let's face it, Karen, right? Like, I'm sure going from 66 million to the same amount in a 6-month period wasn't easy. You had, like, you probably hit your head against the wall, like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And you're like tweaking your systems, tweaking your people, hiring more people. Like you just said, you hired a virtual assistant. Do you have a committee of, like, who do you go to? Who do you use to help you stay on track and keep you accountable? Do you have a coach? Do you have a team, or what? Like, how does that, do you enable your team to give you permission to go, hey, if I'm off track or out of my lane, tell me to get back in?
Well, it's definitely something I had to learn because I, like a lot of people that are high achievers, I'm a micromanager and that's how I got good, right? I was really good at both sides, the CEO and the
Yep.
COO. I could bring in the business and I could get it executed. You talked about executed. What I have learned, definitely masterminds is huge for me. I've had coaches and they've been beneficial. I find that I learn, for me, more in a group setting because I hear from what other people and what's working for them and how they do it. And I have done that in the real estate space, but I've also done it in other spaces because I find that I learn a lot more from people that are in other businesses. I can see how it works for them, and it's easier for me to then transfer those skills here. And then, so yes, I would say that whenever you hit a ceiling of achievement or a level, finding somebody who's gone to the next level or is beyond,
Absolutely.
and you'll be more likely to be able to break through. And it can be challenging, but I'll tell you, Scott, this 6 months has been the easiest 6 months of my business.
That's amazing. Good for you. Glad to hear that.
And that's why it really feels like the flip, the shift is why I believe in it so much, is because it starts with the leader. It starts with you in because I see the impact it has on everybody else. And they could always feel my stress. They could always feel the concern or worry or tension or whatever you want to call it. And I think that they felt that shift. We even had our office manager leave during this time frame. It's not like we have everything, but we had somebody to step in. We had already had somebody that we'd been training just as a third person, but she stepped in, and then we hired in for the next. So that's why the systems are so huge, because when the systems are in place, I'm not saying it was like seamless. There was some transitions, but when the systems are in place, then the people can step in and pick up those systems easier than if they're not. If you're just like always at the top of your head, and I'm sure you've heard this, the whole entrepreneur dilemma of working on the business, working versus working in the business.
Absolutely. Tactical versus not. Yeah. Well, that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about do you guys have like how many people are on your immediate team, so to speak? Like, of the 60 something million you've closed already this year, how many people on the team, and like what does that equate to as far as people?
So myself and my business partner Lizzie Conroy are the rainmakers, and
Okay.
I am 30 million of that 65 million.
Wow.
So again,
Good for you. Crazy.
it's not like I haven't done anything. Lizzie is probably 25 million, 20 million, and then Jenny is about 5 million. And then we have a couple of newer agents that we're training and giving them opportunity to do some of the things like open houses, showing assistant type work, that kind of thing to get their skills up. And then we have 2 full-time office staff, and then the virtual assistant, and we have a part-time office staff, and then I have a staff person that does the podcasts and the books. And then we have a showing assistant / stager, and then my husband works as kind of does operations. So he always likes to say he does whatever Karen doesn't want to do, but I don't know if that's exactly his job title, but it was
good for me.
A huge for me when he came aboard, because he had a very long career in as CEO in the trade association industry here in the Washington, D.C. metro region. And I wasn't quite sure whether I wanted to work with my husband full time, but it surely has freed me up in a lot of ways. So having that operations person.
Excellent. So what would you say, knowing what you know now, to everybody on this call, what would you say that, like, if you were to do one thing first to take your business to the next level? This is a tough one, maybe loaded, but what's the one thing, knowing like you did 66, now you're 6, like what would that one thing be that could help everybody on this call today to start having immediate results if they were to do it, in your eyes?
So I would pick one thing that's meaningful for you that you've been putting off doing, that you haven't been doing because you say you don't have enough time. And I would spend at least 5 minutes doing it at a minimum. But
there you go.
Put that into your day, ideally first, and schedule it like it's nothing else is going to
life or death.
Yeah, and do that, because I believe what I've seen is that you'll start feeling again more integrity with yourself. You'll start enjoying your life more, and that energy will then transfer to everything.
100% get it. 100%. The energy is everything, isn't it? I mean, like when your energy's off, it just nothing happens. When you figure a way to turn it back on and be open, it's just like. And I'll leave you guys with a story, and Karen, then I want you to leave with a story. But I'm sitting there with one of my clients, one of my compadres today, and she's like, it's so funny. Like my daughter's going to Alabama, and I was like talking to this other girl that does I commented on her nails. Okay, this is how crazy it was. Her energy is off the hook. And she commented to some lady about her nails. Turned into a conversation that her son is going to the same college, right? Turns out that she's looking to buy a house. She goes, of a comment of a nail, it turned into a transaction where she's going to do the mortgage for this person that she didn't have any clue, now has a connection with, at the same college, with their kids. Now she's like, that's how crazy your life can turn around just like that, by one simple combat that you're open to with the energy coming out and being full force. So it's crazy, right? And I just heard that today.
Absolutely. And I think that if what you focus on expands, and once you start doing this, you will start experiencing the benefits of it, and you will want to do more, because your life will be so much better. It'll be more meaningful, and the people around you are going to benefit too.
Absolutely. So I'm going to grab this link to the Amazon. It's going to be a long one down in the chat section if you guys want to grab Karen's new book. Karen, amazing what you've done, and it's so awesome to follow you and see your podcast come across. And it's just been a joy to have you as part of the Agent Mastermind family. Any final words for before we check out? What, like, do you have a next book coming?
Well, be sure and check out Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes a Day, Secrets of a Top Agent Revealed, and Commit to Get Leads 66-Day Challenge, and the 5-Minute Success Podcast. It's the number 5 if you want to go back and hear Scott. He was one of the guests. And we need to be sure and do a shout out because today is Scott's birthday.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. 5minutesuccess.com, right?
Yes.
5minutesuccess.com. You guys got to get on this podcast. She interviews some amazing people.
There you go. You just found it.
So, yep, go to 5 Minute Success, opt into her podcast, grab her new book. She sends, just amazing interviews with different people. Just hanging around successful people is like a great thing to do anytime you can do it. So I appreciate you, Karen, more than you'll know, and look forward to having some conversations off this thing about a couple ideas that I have for you as well. And guys, follow Karen, amazing person, awesome business owner, CEO, COO. Karen, you can do it all. Hey, give me this. So here's the tough one. Give me some predictions for 2020. What is Karen? What are some goals that you have for 2020 for yourself?
Oh, wow. That's a big one. 2020 vision.
I
right?
know it.
Think about it.
I know.
Think about it. 2020. Well, this is a big year for me because you just had a birthday, but I just had a birthday. I just turned 60. So I've got
happy birthday.
Travel planned, and I have this life list. So every year I pick a few things on the life list to focus on. And the obviously the podcast and the books are all a part of that, and reaching out and connecting with great people like you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, Karen, I'll be following you for sure. Keep sending the podcast. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing for the community, the real estate industry. Keep doing it. And anything I can do to ever help you, please let me know. I'd love to be a part of it. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us when you could be anywhere you chose to hang out with us here on Agent Mastermind. Same time, same place next week, right here on the web. Karen, thank you so much. Have a great day, my friend. We'll see you soon.